1 second. All right, whenever you're ready.
Imagine having your eyes held open for hours or even days on end, with an unknown substance burning through your cornea. A device is holding your arms back and your eyes open so you can't rub or blink the substance out. You can feel it destroying your eye, tearing through it. It's on fire from the outside in. This is one of the examples of types of tests that are done on animals, rabbits in this case, to test for sensitivity for products like shampoo, lotion, and makeup. I'm here to tell you all today why animals should not be used in the process of testing for cosmetic products. Although many of you indicated that you know very little to none about animal testing, I hope that today you leave here with a new sense of awareness. I will first tell you about the problem of animal testing, and then go on to inform you about possible alternatives that can be used and what you can do yourself to stop animal cruelty. The first reason that animal testing is important is that animals, like humans, are conscious beings and have the capacity to suffer. Animals and humans have evolved from the same place, and therefore it is believed that animals and humans have very similar perceptions of the world and this very similar consciousness. Even mice, who someone might think as a mindless rodent, have been taught to count to 6 and subtract 1 from 6 by picking correct tunnels. Some years ago, several scientists decided to study animal pain and found that all mammals possess either all or most of the 7 criteria of perception. Some of these criteria included biological similarities to humans and nerve and brain structure. Another problem with animal testing is that although experiments are supposed to have checkups done on them regularly, and the government is supposed to make sure that everything is done inside of them is safe in the laboratory, many experiments that are done on animals never have any sort of ethical check, and supervision done on them is before the experiments proceed. Stanley Gershock, a biochemist from Tufts University in Boston, Massachusetts, explained that in a lot of situations, people who are taking care of animals are paid minimum wage and are never properly given instructions on how to care for the animals. He also stated that government agencies that are oftentimes understaffed and don't adequately check experiment areas out. Most importantly, the testing that is done on animals is far too cruel to be done on any living species. Many of you have said in your survey that if you think that testing hurts the animals, that it's wrong. And wrong is exactly one of the words that should be used to describe these tests. One type of test that is done is the Drazy eye irritancy test. This test involves a rabbit being held into a device that holds its paws back and keeps its eyes from blinking, and having whatever substance is being tested being bandaged into the eye so that the product or ingredient can't come out. The rabbit is kept this way for between 3 and 21 days, and checked up upon regularly to see the effects, which can range from slight irritation to total destruction of the eye, as you can see here. It was originally used because a woman who had been trying to dye her eyelashes had had an adverse reaction and had gone blind. Although this is a legitimate reason, because I know that none of you would appreciate going blind from a product you use, the reasons the Drazy test is used now are usually far less extreme. Another test is the Drazy skin irritancy test. This involves a rabbit's fur being shaved and small incisions are made into the skin so that when the substance is put onto the skin, it can leak into the bloodstream. This area is then bandaged up so the substance cannot escape, and the effects are observed for the next 3 to 21 days, as you can see here. George Hagen, an English physician, said after spending 4 months working as assistant in a laboratory doing experiments on dogs and rabbits, I'm of the opinion that not one of these experiments on animals was justified or necessary. The idea of good humanity was simply out of the question. If none of these experiments were necessary, then why are they still being done? Over 66% of you said that if animal testing was unnecessary, that you did not support it, and it surely shows one example of unnecessary experimentation. Another problem is that animal tests don't accurately predict how chemicals will affect humans, and in many cases, the results they produce are not reproducible. The Drazy eye test only produces a 50% accuracy as what the effect will be on humans. If you think about that, that means that there's a 50-50 chance that if the chemical irritates the rabbit's eye, it'll irritate a human's. That's the same probability as a coin flip. One last problem with animal testing is also much more expensive to do than many alternative testing methods. A Drazy rabbit test can cost up to $1,000 and can take up to 21 days to complete, while a test that we will discuss later, called Marissa test, costs only $100 and takes only a few hours to get results. Now that I have told you about the problems of animal testing, I can inform you about the solutions and the steps that you can take to make animal testing become a thing of the past. The solution to animal testing is the 3 R's must be used. The principle that was coined and published in 1959 by William M.S. Russell in English Dualis and his peer, Rex L. Birch, a microbiologist, has come to be used for almost all ethical decisions involving animal testing. The 3 R's include replacement, refinement, and reduction. Experimenters must do all they can to replace animal testing with other forms of testing. There are many ways that products can be tested for sensitivity without the use of animals. First, the Stratotest human skin model is one alternative to the Drazy eye test, or skin irritancy test. This model imitates the structure and even biological responses that human skin has to substances. This model is a 3-dimensional and has the same thickness and composure as human skin. One method that can replace the Drazy eye irritancy test is the chloreoantiac membrane vascular assay, or CMVA. This method uses a 10-day-old egg to test sensitivity to the human eyes. This is a picture of it here. Whatever substance is being tested is first dissolved in a saline solution, which is a mixture of salt and water, and is then introduced into the delicate membrane that clings to the eggshell, which is pictured here. The response to the substance is measured by the blood vessels breaking down. It's actually more accurate than the Drazy eye test, since the membrane has a closer relationship to the sensitivity of the human eye. One more test that I talked about earlier is Marissa test. This test uses a protein membrane to irritate the structure of the human skin to test the sensitivity of the substance on that skin. If scientists cannot completely switch over to the alternative methods of testing, they must reduce the number of animals used in the experiment. The United States must strive to use the smallest number of animals that's possible for each experiment, whether it be 5 or 500. These numbers would greatly reduce the number of animals used in the United States and could help reduce animal cruelty throughout our country. Even those of you here who might not yet agree with me about banning animal testing altogether certainly should be able to agree that at the very least we demand that scientists refine their experiment and the testing done on animals. This means that scientists must make sure that what they do to animals is completely ethical and sound. Government agencies and ethical committees need to get more involved and hire more workers so as to make sure that all experiments are being ethical. The cruelty done to these poor animals must be minimized and the pain must be halted. If it's possible to do the experiment with anesthesia or any other type of pain medication, it must be used to make sure that they are not in pain. Now that I've told you what needs to be done in the field of animal experimentation, you may ask, what can I do to help? It's simple to help. Just stop buying products that test their ingredients on animals. The problem with this, though, is that some companies can put labels on their products that are misleading. The fact that a product has a label on it that says not treated on animals often just means that the final product was not tested on animals. There are no laws or regulations that say companies are not allowed to put this label on their products if they have used animal testing at all. Many times, the individual ingredients were still tested on animals, so it's difficult to differentiate between the products that have used animal testing and those that have not. In order to be sure that none of these products that you buy have been tested on animals, you have to look for the bottle. The CCIC logo on the bottle stands for Coalition Consumer Information on Cosmetics. There are over 500 companies now that have vowed not to use animal testing in any stage of production that you can choose from. Some of these companies include Avon, Mary Kay, and Burt's Bees. Today I hope that I have brought to your attention a problem that you may have known existed, but were not quite sure of the full extent. Animal testing is a process that must be stopped. It is cruel and not even as effective as other alternatives. I urge you to start thinking differently about things today. Start buying smarter and telling others to do the same. The next time you're in the shower and a little bit of shampoo slips into your left eye and you start to complain, remember that little bunny that had the same experience but 50 times worse and 5 days longer in an experiment. Maybe this will help you understand why I'm so passionate about this topic.